You had a feeling Minnesota was going to come out very energized. I didn't know they'd be that energized, and Denver sort of mailed it in. So we will have a Game 7.
Okay. I'm going to let this clip play, but we got to stop real fast. The Denver Nuggets didn't mail it in, all right? Minnesota took that game. They balled out. Their defense was swarming. Their energy was swarming. They were making their shots. They had great ball movement. Like, no, this wasn't like, oh, Denver Nuggets just came out lackluster and Timberwolves were able to take advantage. That's not what happened. The Minnesota Timberwolves took over that game right away. And Denver Nuggets could not do anything to stop it. This was not just that they were lackluster. So, and that the Timberwolves were just desperate. That's not at all what happened. And so I just think that is not a fair way to just already, paint this. But let's get it.
Does not mean Denver is guaranteed to win. I don't know what the line is this morning. J-Mac will chase that down. It's 4. I think I'd take Denver to win. But I think they'll roll. But I would say this. What it really shows is that anybody that can beat Denver by 45 points in a playoff game, a closeout playoff game, is a hell of a team. The Celtics' record against the East this year was 41-11, 8-2 in the playoffs. You know what the Celtics' record was against Denver, Minnesota, OKC? 2-4. They were 1-1 against the Lakers, who already got bounced. The Celtics are just a team out west. They're unbeatable. They're the greatest team on earth in the East. And the West remains the grown-up table, and the East the kids' table. And these Western teams are only getting better. Minnesota, once they get Ant, a great running mate, his Pippen, watch out. They're well coached, brilliantly constructed. Denver's not going backwards. OKC and all their draft capital and stars.
He has Cat. Cat is an unbelievably great player. So why are we downplaying Cat?
Dallas. This trench warfare. And what you notice about good teams in the playoffs, Minnesota can win in Denver. Denver can win in Minnesota. I mean, Dallas has won a couple of games in OKC. OKC won in Dallas. The Indiana Pacers, they're not at home. They're done. 6 playoff games, 1-5 on the road, most blowout losses. They don't even look like they can compete. So if you go back to MJ's Bulls, the 6 titles, half were won on the road. If you go to the Warriors, 4 titles, 3 of 4 were won away from the Bay Area. So the better the team, the less reliant you are on fans and the home crowd. The Knicks, I'm sorry to say, are highly reliant on Madison Square Garden and the energy it provides. But when I'm watching this stuff last night, I'm like, tip of the cap to Minnesota. I mean, Jamal Murray's hands banged up, Mike Conley finally back. But in the West, if you're shorthanded, if Jamal Murray was just playing with a bad hand, you're in big trouble. Mike Conley's out, you're in big trouble. The Knicks are missing 4 of their top 8 players. They're probably going to win a Game 7 and go to the Eastern Conference Finals. They're missing a center, a power forward, OG. They're missing all their size. They're starting 4 guards. And because they're at home, they'll win. It's just a totally different sport. It's the SEC the last 20 years. You know, the Alabama-Georgia run, it was like you could find the 3rd or 4th best team off at an LSU. They would be better, sometimes significantly, than the champion of another conference. And so that's what it feels like. Tip of the cap to Minnesota. Jamal Murray had a bad hand, and that was enough to get torched by a...
Okay. Testing my patience today. That is not at all what happened, okay? Jamal Murray's banged up hand is not the difference between 45 to 50. At one point, the Nuggets were down by 50 points. 50 points. Do not put this win on Jamal Murray's banged up hand. That's nonsense. That's just nonsense. The refs were actually letting them finally play more physical like they did in the first 2 games, which benefits the Timberwolves. And they actually started to get Rudy Gobert offensively involved, which is what I said the other day that they needed to do, which they did. They were playing great defense. Their offense was flowing. They were hitting their shots. The Denver Nuggets looked lost because of the great defense. And that's the way it goes. Do not put this on Jamal Murray's hand because it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense. Then Conley is still injured. And so is Cat. And so was Ant. Ant looked like he was like paralyzed for a second. I mean, that was scary. Like at first he was just like laying on the ground. You're just like, okay, you're just taking a minute. And then he like wasn't moving. And then you're just like, oh God, what happened? And then he had to go to the back, to the locker room. So no, enough of this nonsense. It's to put this on Jamal Murray's hand is insane to me. It's not. I mean, under that logic, then the Lakers should have won, and it was just because AD had like a stinger or whatever the heck was wrong with his neck, and that therefore the Lakers are just a better team, and it just couldn't they couldn't overcome his injury. But if AD was healthy, then they win. Yeah, there you go. Just the way it goes. I resent that take. It's just not accurate. It's really not accurate. And you guys know I love Colin, and I love the show. It's my favorite sports show out there. But this is just dead wrong. Listen, if you want to say that the injuries affected the game and it would have been a closer game, I understand. I accept that, right? Like, I'm not one of those people that just says, everyone's injured and, you need to find a way. Like, no, that's just coach nonsense, things that media people say who've never played a sport a day in their life say. Of course, it influences it, right? Not by 50 points. Not by 50 points. So this was the Minnesota Timberwolves outplaying the Denver Nuggets. Straight up. How come every time the Timberwolves beat the Nuggets, they put it on, oh yeah, Jamal Murray's calf. Oh, his hand. It's just nonsense. It's nonsense. Let me say it one more time. It's nonsense. The Timberwolves are a great team. They are an elite team, and so are the Denver Nuggets. They're both elite teams. That's what this shows to me. Basketball is brutal to predict in terms of this, because you watch one game and the Nuggets lose and everyone's like, all right, here we go, Timberwolves. And then they win a second game and they're like, oh my God, the Nuggets are going to get swept. And then the Nuggets come back and win 3 games. And people are like, see, you can't count out the Nuggets. They're going to win the title. It was nice what the Timberwolves were doing, but they're just not that good. And then the Timberwolves win game 6 and blow them out of the water. And it's like, well, the Nuggets just were, not in the mood to play basketball. They were just like, gee golly whiz, I just want to play some playground ball and swing on a swing set, Like, get out of here. That's not what happened. The Nuggets wanted to wrap that game up. They wanted it to be over. Okay? And they couldn't. They could not keep up with the Timberwolves. Will the Timberwolves be able to sustain that in Game 7? Newsflash. Nobody knows. Nobody has any idea who's going to win Game 7. That's the beauty of Game 7. We have no idea. These are 2 elite teams, and it's going to be the most cliche thing. It's going to be a make or miss game. Who's going to make the shots? Is that ball in the corner for 3 going to go down, or is it going to rim out? Are the Timberwolves going to hit a 3 to go up by 6, or is it going to rim out? Jamal Murray will be able to push it down 3 by Porter, and now it's a tie game, right? Like, that's what it's going to come down to. And is it going to come down to where Conley rims out a 3, Jamal Murray gets the rebound, throws it down to Michael Porter Jr., and now the Nuggets get to tie the game, and Michael Porter Jr. rims it out, right? Like, that's what it's all going to come down to. And it's going to be so hard to predict. It's going to be awesome. I'm excited. I was rooting for a Game 7. Game 7s are so exciting. I think this is such a great series, and I think the winner of this series wins it all. I think the winner of this series, whoever wins Game 7, as long as everyone stays healthy, wins the championship. So both teams know what's at stake. Both teams. They've known what's at stake. I think they both know winning this game will win them all. Will win it all. I don't think they're intimidated by the Knicks. Of course not. They're not intimidated by the Pacers. They weren't intimidated by the Cavaliers. I understand the Celtics, but the Celtics aren't even fully healthy. And even if they are, I still got the Timberwolves or the Nuggets. And I don't think OKC will be able to withstand the physicality of the Nuggets or the Timberwolves. And I don't think Dallas will either. So I really think the winner of Game 7 will be having a parade, in however many weeks. So this game, last night's game was wild. It really was. And it was really awesome to watch But I just take such issue with this idea of like every time Minnesota wins, it's because of some sort of other thing, right? Oh, well, Jokic just had an off night. Why do you think he had an off night? Did it have anything to do with the defense of the Timberwolves? Anything? Anything? You know, Jamal Murray was flustered. Why do you think he was flustered? You know, anything that Minnesota is doing? So, I take issue with that. Those factors are variables in games, but they're not the sole reason. And they're certainly not a sole reason for a 45-point loss and at 1 point, 50 points. If the Timberwolves only won by like 3 points, 5 points, 6 points, 10 points even, I could see the argument a little bit. I'd be more willing to say, yeah, maybe if Jamal Murray was a little bit healthier, they would be able to do that. But if you do that, then you have to do it for the other side too. You have to say, well, what if Cat was truly, fully 100% healthy and didn't just recently come back from knee surgery? What about Conley and his Achilles tendon injury? Last time I checked, Achilles tendons are pretty freaking, important, right? I think we're all learning that, over the years, just how important Achilles tendons are. So you can't just pick and choose when you want to play the health card. If you're going to play the health card, you got to play it for everyone. Just the way it goes. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think? Do you think that the Timberwolves kind of got lucky because Jamal Murray injured his hand? Or do you think that they just proved to be a better team in Game 6? And who do you think's going to win Game 7? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.